Some of you wonder why I care so much about justice, about things being fair here in Guatemala. And it all comes from what I've lived firsthand. I know we can look at statistics, we can look at studies, and all sort of things, and feel like there's either a need or not a need for justice. My desire for justice comes from my own personal experiences. Something really awful happened recently that I want to share with you guys about to give you a better understanding of why I'm fighting and why I won't stop fighting for justice. 10 years ago, I lived in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in Guatemala City. Maybe one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the world. Constant shootouts, danger. You can only imagine a 19-year-old, 20-year-old living there alone, not knowing Spanish. And I learned so much during that time. I learned how not only in the United States or developed countries, but in Guatemala, poverty brings such horrible things. It doesn't just steal stuff from you. It doesn't just steal a house or a bed. It steals your basic human rights. It steals your right to justice. While living there, I would go to church, sort of understand, and one night there was a shootout. Like many other nights before, there was on the walk home a man who was thrown out on the ground dead, who had been shot and killed, likely a gang member, but unfortunately, because of seeing this on a regular basis, you grow cold to it. He was involved in violent acts, and this happens to these kind of people. And the people that I went to church with that night, we went home to our houses, and the next day, I kid you not, the next day, the police finally came and took the body out. The body laid on the street the entire night. No one came. No one cared. And before I could say there was really any investigation, that same day they came and took the body out. They arrested one of the girls that was at church with me that night. And I say girls because she was 18 at that time. She was also very pregnant. And she was accused of murder with a shotgun. And I believed in my mind, at first I was fighting and I didn't understand why they were taking her to prison, but I couldn't communicate because I didn't know Spanish. And then I thought, okay, she's innocent. There's not going to be prints. I mean, think about CSI. There's no prints. There's nothing. I think about investigations. And this is when I started realizing that investigation really doesn't matter if you're poor. Because who's going to fight? Who has enough education in poor areas to know their rights to do something about it? My friend was taken to jail. My friend was then couldn't afford a lawyer. Sentenced to 25 years in prison for murder. She had her baby while in prison. I've told many of you that before. That baby grew up 4 years in prison with her. During that time, my friend's mother couldn't continue working because the prison system doesn't provide food for children who are in prison with their moms. And the family had to see what they had to do to get food to the baby, and they began to get involved in illegal activities, which ended up, my friend's mother went to jail, my friend's cousin, my friend's brother, my friend's other cousin, all were in jail, and my friend's husband, who was also accused of that murder, who when it happened was in Mexico, wasn't even in Guatemala. There's even proof that he was in Mexico from when he crossed the border. And my friend went to jail. I didn't want to visit jail. I was scared, I'll be honest with you, but I did. And I discovered that my friend's story wasn't the only story. If I have the blessing of being born with this privilege of being able to have an education, of knowing my rights, I can't not do anything. I have to do something. So I began my work in prison. You know all about my work in prison. And my friend has now been in jail for almost 10 years. Her daughter left at 4 because that's the required age, because obviously of school. And my friend's daughter went to live with family who lived in another very dangerous neighborhood, much like the Limonada. It may even be considered more dangerous than Limonada, if that's possible. And a couple days ago, my friend's daughter was killed in a horrible, horrible accident. My friend's husband, when he was released from prison, because he was a minor when he was arrested, he was 17, for reasons I don't want to mention, not anything illegal, but just reasons I'd rather not get into for a possible legal process that's ongoing, he was shot and killed. My friend lost her husband. My friend lost her daughter now, her only hope. And a couple months ago, my friend was found in prison with a cellular device. If you have a cell phone in prison, the sentence is 6 to 12 years minimum, and you lose any kind of probation. So my friend lost her probation and has at least 6 years to 12 years that are going to be added onto her sentence, which we're talking about maybe another 26 years of prison that she has left. And this all started with a lack of justice. If my friend would have never gone to jail, her daughter may be alive today. Her mother may not be in prison. Her cousins may have not gotten involved in illegal things. This cycle of violence, in my opinion, which may mean nothing, it's just my life, it's just what I've seen, comes from the lack of justice. It's not fair. It's not fair that because you're poor, you can't be defended. It's not fair because if you're poor, the media doesn't care. We're all humans. We're all people. We all deserve a chance. We all deserve an education. We all deserve an opportunity in life to do something. But we don't all get it. And I'm really, really sad about what happened to my friend. I can't imagine what she's going through right now. That was her last hope. Could you imagine being in prison right now? The only reason you keep going, even though you know you may have another 26 years, the only reason you keep going is because you know you have a daughter that's waiting on you, that's looking up to you, and what happens when that gets taken away? So, I'm in law school. I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to pass my finals. And I'm going to fight for cases like my friend's and like many others, because it's just not one. It's many. And I don't think that it's a crime to be poor. I don't think it's a crime. I don't think that justice is something that can be bought. I think justice is a right to all individuals. And I will make it my life's mission that everyone can have the justice they deserve. This path I'm on, living in the Limonada, working in prisons, going to law school, God has this plan for me, and it's all coming together. And if I have a life, if I have a voice, it's to fight. It's the one thing, you guys, to talk about. It's not fair. It's one thing to say, God bless you. It's another thing to tirelessly work, fight, bleed, sweat, go to any ends to show not only your love for others, the love that God has for others. And just be thinking about my friend today as her daughter's coffin with her daughter's body was taken to prison today so that she could give her final goodbye. Be praying for her and know that I'm gonna fight and I'm not gonna give up. That's what I want to do. That's what drives me. That's what keeps me going when it gets hard. Justice.